the bump and run, the Bristol move.
That's aggressive, but that's good. Good hard racing.
Oh!
He puts him out of the groove there.
Oh, man!
Will he get the bumper? Yes, he does. Here comes Logano. Logano on the inside. A drag race. They're sideways. And it's going to be Logano getting the win.
The back end of the 18. Kick out.
Yeah, he got into it. Moved him out of the way. Just got the lead.
It's almost too early to be racing that hard for the lead, wasn't it?
Never too early to be racing for the lead.
At Bristol.
At Bristol.
Man, this is one of the biggest wins of my career.
It's the bump and run,
Baby!
Yeah, welcome to the Bump and Run podcast. I'm your host, Michael D. White, joined by my two best friends, Matt the Statman Reilly and Eric Daytona Ron. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Hope you guys had yourselves a Kyle Busch type of weekend. And for the first time in, I think, forever, there was cheers for Kyle Busch at the finish line. There was still some boos, but I feel like there was a lot more cheers. Fellas, what'd you guys think about that one? Oh, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Do all that stuff, too. Fellas, what's going on?
What is happening, man?
I don't know.
I'll tell you what, made it to our first real race, if you want to say that, after Daytona to start the season, and I would say it started off pretty good. Yeah. I enjoyed what I saw out there, and I'm curious to hear what you fellas thought of the race as well. I noticed did we text as much during this race as we normally do? I felt like we weren't.
Dude, I feel like we texted more during this race than we usually do.
Really?
Yeah,
It's usually like for all like the listeners, like the three of us, unless something crazy happens, like we kind of go radio silent because we're watching, and I know I take notes, you guys are taking notes, and I know Eric, you usually have people over, so we usually go radio silent unless something really crazy happens during the race. But I felt like we were all really hammering the text message group yesterday.
Yeah, I think it was more about non-racing stuff is what I'm thinking of rather than racing stuff.
I know I was hammering the beers during the race yesterday.
Yeah,
I was feeling great.
Yeah.
And I know I got riled up a couple times during that race for obvious reasons. We'll get into that coming up, but man, I feel like it was a great weekend for what we thought was going to be a terrible weekend. I mean, it was raining and snowing in California on Saturday. Of course, the Xfinity race got postponed. But fellows, personally, how was your weekend? Did you have a good one? Do you enjoy the weekend?
It was short.
It was short, man.
It felt like it just flew right on by, and especially having the doubleheader Sunday, I think really capped off what felt like it was just it was a long weekend, but it went by quick is what I'm trying to say. I stayed up late to watch that Xfinity race after Cup. So it was just felt like a long day of racing, I guess.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say it was a long day for sure. And I feel like since last week was Daytona 500, I took that Monday off too. I feel like the week leading up to the weekend took forever. For some reason, those 4-day long work weeks take longer than 5-day ones. And
every time. And
I think because, like you said, the race was it was a double header. We had no practice and qualifying, no trucks on Friday, where Sunday was the weekend for me. I feel like Saturday we did all the running around. We went grocery shopping after dinner and all that stuff, which is one of my new favorite things to do. So now we're not rushing around on Sunday trying to get the grocery shopping done before the race. We'll go out
time. It's about time you learned, Whitey. Time.
So we'll go out for dinner, have a couple cocktails, and then walk around Wegmans with a little nice little buzz. It makes it for a good experience. Not gonna lie, you guys should try it out. I'm sure you have before, but
yeah, but then you know what happens? That cart gets full of a lot of stuff that you really didn't need or want.
Yeah.
That's why you eat beforehand, though. Your belly's full. You're I'm not even thinking about eating it,
Oh, but then the buzz on is telling you, maybe later when this starts wearing off, I'm going to want a little something.
well, a bag of jalapeno chips did end up in the cart as we were walking towards the aisle there. But yeah, how about you, Matt? How was your weekend?
Dude, I had a quiet weekend. Nothing. We didn't do much, which is fine. Hey, I'll take it. It's nice every once in a while to have one of those weekends where not a lot gets done. I mean, we got some stuff done around the house, but nothing crazy. It was cold, and this is the time where take advantage of those quiet weekends, because before we know it, the weather's going to be nice. We're going to be getting stuff done outside. There's still a million things to do around the house here. So once the weather breaks, we're going to be busy, and then of course the summertime, we're always busy. So I'll take these quiet weekends where I can get them.
Absolutely. And speaking of weather breaking, the weather broke in LA, Fontana, and we got the race in on Sunday. Let's jump into it. But first, we got some NASCAR news to go over.
The Bump and Run NASCAR news.
And just two pieces of news, unless you guys saw anything throughout the day that I might have missed. 2311 President Steve Luletta said they do plan on expanding to a third car when the timing is right, and they're looking closer sooner rather than later. What do you guys think about 2311 and just the Toyota footprint possibly expanding in the future?
I think they need to do it, and I think they needed to do it yesterday.
Yeah.
To be honest, it's no secret that they are lacking cars out on that racetrack every Sunday. And, I know Denny kind of mentioned that the manufacturers in the 500 didn't play as big of a role this year as they normally do. But, when you only have 6 Toyotas out there on the racetrack, it limits your notes. It limits your data set of what to do when your teams are struggling and what not to do. And, when you only have 6 cars and teams and minds to feed off of with that raw data you get, you're behind the 8 ball. And I think the Kyle Busch leaving and the TRD pipeline that they had for many, many years, I think they really screwed that up. I think they took for granted what they had going for them with the KBM basically producing their talent. And, they were just, okay, yeah, we get to pick from whoever we want. And it was all fine and dandy. And then next thing you know, that carpet gets pulled out from underneath you. And you're left as an organization wondering, oh, wow, all of these guys are now gone. They have rides. Yeah. Our pipeline is now severed. And we only have 6 cars on the racetrack. And, it's probably shocking to them because they didn't have to deal with this before. And, not only do they have to deal with that, but they also have to deal with the fact that they are Toyota. And believe it or not, there are still people that don't really support Toyota in NASCAR, don't want Toyota in NASCAR, and kind of stick to the Ford and the Chevys. And, it's going to be tough, I think, if they don't find some sponsorship to maybe get some other cars or possibly some other full-on teams to switch over and get that Toyota brand. So I think they're in trouble.
Yeah, I agree. We had a personal conversation months and months ago about the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series and the lack of Fords in the field. And now, like, overnight, it's almost like, oh, there's a lack of Toyota development now, where it's like, it's John Hunter Nemechek at Joe Gibbs Racing in the Xfinity Series, and I feel like that's kind of about it. Like, who else is really poised to take something on? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. And 2311 has no issue on poaching guys whose contracts are almost up, and we saw a lot of long-term deals get signed during Speed Week, and I think that's to prevent something like that happening again. So it should be interesting to watch and see what happens on the Cup side, let alone the Xfinity and the Truck Series side too. I feel like now the field is mostly Chevys in all 3 series. I feel like the Chevys are really outweighing everybody. But yeah, I don't know. And then Matt, do you have anything to add to that or no?
No, I think Eric hit the nail on the head there. It's just, it seems like yesterday it was always, oh my God, Toyota has all this talent in the trucks and Xfinity series. There's not enough room for everyone. Where's everyone going to go? That's why you saw the Eric Jones of the world getting moved out of there and so forth and so on. And then, all of a sudden you look at the Xfinity series, like you guys said, John Hunter Nemechek, Joe Graff Jr., which what do we really know about him? You
Yeah.
know, I mean, Sammy Smith, he's a talent. Now,
Yeah.
he is a talent. He's young, though, so he's got a few years before he's going to make his way through. So I don't know. Like, that pipeline just isn't there. But on the other hand, they do need to expand that field. I'm sure they can get some current Cup guys that aren't in Toyotas right now into those seats if they do choose to add the Toyota cars into the Cup Series. But something needs to get done. It just seems like they aren't developing like they were just yesteryear. You know what I mean? And hey, listen, you know, Kyle Busch got offered a big sum of money right out of Joe Gibbs' pocket, and he said no, thank you, and he went to Chevy. Well, he also took KBM with them, and they don't have that amazing feeder system coming up from the Truck Series anymore. That's going to hurt them. They might not feel it now, but they may in a year or two.
Right. And my question to you guys is, who emerges as that feeder team now? Who steps up, and does KB do that, but instead of Toyota, he's just, pumping into the Chevy, teams now? Does he, take that role on again? Or does a Ford camp step up like Penske and they decide to, use their Xfinity cars and start, or Brad Keselowski, he ran a truck team, and now he's over there running his own, at RFK. They're Ford. What if Brad Keselowski decides, hey, I'm going to be an owner of my team at RFK. I'm not going to drive forever. How about I start my truck team back up under the same name I do now, and I start developing drivers for my team that I'm racing for right now? I could see that as being a possibility.
Who is it? Hattori Racing in the Truck Series that has Toyota now? Like, what teams are Toyota in the Truck Series? I think it's Hattori.
I'm not sure. I'll have to check on that.
Let me see here.
While you look at that, Eric, you reminded me of something I sent to our group chat on Instagram. An account I follow went on a tour of some of the shops down in Charlotte, and they spotted a truck at RFK.
Oh, well, there you go.
Just an unpainted Truck Series truck. So, I mean, who knows what that means? I can't find the picture again.
I'm recalling now seeing that post that you sent, and I didn't think of it then, what I had just said now about that. But man, does that certainly make sense after what I said with that random truck being in their garage, and it was kind of a sneaky photo I saw. I was like through a doorway, kind of
through like a window and stuff. Yeah. So who knows? I don't want to spread any rumors, but maybe RFK is looking at a Truck Series run or something. Who knows?
Tricon Racing. Never heard of them before. Is the other Toyota team in the Craftsman Truck Series. I'm so happy Craftsman is back. We didn't talk about that nearly enough.
Me too.
The Craftsman Truck Series brings me back.
How about the size of the Craftsman Truck Series banners on the front of those cars? Their Craftsman is getting their money's worth. As like a giant billboard on top of the windshield. But yes, it should be interesting to see the developments of Toyota. And, we keep always hearing rumors that we're trying to get more manufacturers into the sport. So who knows if it gets spread even more thin. I would love to see some Chevy teams get poached and move over to Dodge or really anybody, just to break up the field a little bit, especially at those super speedways. But speaking of breaking up, we're breaking up with Auto Club, apparently. According to reports, NASCAR has sold a large portion of land that Auto Club is sitting on to commercial land developers for more than $500 million. Nothing shocking there. We kind of knew this was happening about 2 years ago. They announced that they were looking to sell that. This would be the last race, and then they were going to build a short track. The thing that I do find interesting is now a lot of people are speculating whether the short track will actually happen or not, and what we're going to do in the LA market next season, because obviously we're going to tear up the track and it's not going to be there next season. So where does our California race go to? What do you guys think about the news that broke over the weekend and the possible speculation that we might never go back to Auto Club in the beginning?
I'll share my opinion on that later, a little bit later in the show. But as far as, the whole, is there going to be a short track? Is there not going to be a short track? What do we do with that market? We have to do something, right? But we can't do the LA Coliseum as a points paying race. Like, that's just not feasible. Like, they can't do that. Can't do it. I know the one other track that's in that area that was brought up a couple different places was Irwindale. But even that, I think someone said got sold or is in the process of getting sold. So that's probably out of the equation. So what do they do? Do we just get out of that market altogether for now until another opportunity arises? I think there's a somewhere in that area is a road course, but no, thank you. Even as the show champion for road courses here, I don't want another road course. We're good. We're good on that. So what do? They have Phoenix. It's not that far away. They have Vegas. It's not that far away. In Northern California, they have Sonoma. LA is a huge market, though. It's one of the biggest in the country. So they've got to figure something out. But what?
Yeah, I think, nothing happens overnight. In any kind of industry, company, corporation, whatever you want, nothing happens overnight.
Yeah.
So, like you stated, Whitey, like 2 years ago, the writing was on the wall for Auto Club. And I think that is exactly how long it takes for things to come into motion and for things to start moving along. And NASCAR already at that moment had an idea of where they wanted to go 2 years ago. I just think they're not really saying because in my eyes, they are collecting data to see what they're going to do. They're using these last 2 years and these experiments that they're doing to see if it's viable to stay out there in that market or, hey, listen, we're just done. We're pulling out of Auto Club and that's fine. And it's not going to hurt us at all because we know in this experiment here at the Chicago Road Course or this experiment here bringing North Wilkesboro back or the experiment going up, to Oregon or, the LA Coliseum, that is all to see what kind of, viewership that they get out of that. And if they see that the Clash didn't do what they wanted it to do. It might have done well for its purpose of the race being the Clash, but will it be feasible to build a whole new racetrack in that market? And will that market stay there? Or is that market only there for those little gimmick races? I think it's all data that NASCAR is collecting over these, 2 years. The writing was on the wall. So I think they already kind of have an idea where they're going and what they want to do. And, it's just a matter of time before they come out and say, hey, this is what we're doing. We're moving on from this because we have this, and this. We could afford to lose Auto Club because we have this, and this. And I think they're just weighing their options and seeing which of their new ideas is going to rise to the top. And they're just going to go with that.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how the Chicago street course goes because that might be the solution to LA. Just run a street race in LA somewhere. Because you don't want to leave that market. I mean,
right.
It's the second biggest city in the country. There's millions and millions of people there. And even you look at attendance at Auto Club, I mean, it's sold out this year. Obviously the stands weren't full because of weather conditions and stuff, but they sold out the tickets. They sold out last year. The people want it and you could ask all the legacy fans all you want. You don't need LA. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You need to be in Los Angeles. Like, I don't care what you think about
culture,
California.
Today's culture, you have to bring the racing to the people. It's not like the olden days where people travel, super far and wide to go see a race. Cause you really you can watch it at home and it's just as good, if not better. I mean, we don't think it's better. It's always better to be at the racetrack, but if you're in LA and you have to travel 4 hours to get to Vegas to go see a race, are you really traveling the 4 hours? I don't think so.
Right. It's interesting. And what is the right answer, right? I mean, we can sit here and we can bullshit about what they could or couldn't do. I don't have an answer. What do? Maybe they built that track in the Coliseum. Yes, they to get what they got out of it. Like Eric said, they got the data out of it, but maybe it's just not for specifically. Everyone's got this thought in their mind where, okay, well then what other stadium is it going to be? Maybe it's not a stadium. Maybe they build a track going out over the beach or something, and I'm just thinking out of the box, giving some wild thoughts, but and then they mold that into some of the roads that are already there. Maybe they build it around the outside of a stadium so it's a bigger track that way. Maybe they go find an empty field somewhere. It just seems like they're not building actual purpose-built tracks anymore. It seems like, when's the last time they built a brand new track somewhere in America? I don't know. I don't have that answer. So what are they going to do? Because as you guys stated, you need LA. You need that market.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you definitely need it. But yeah, that's all I have for NASCAR news this week. You guys want to jump into the racing at LA? All right. I don't have an intro I need to make an intro for this part. It throws me off. I thought I did. I saw most of the Xfinity race. I fell asleep. Did you guys make it to the end?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. It was good.
What time did it end actually? Like 10:35?
Yeah. I think 10:30, around there, 10:30ish. Yeah.
My eyes were heavy. Eric and I were both saying like, "Oh man, we're struggling." I actually just made a Jack and Ginger just so I could sip on something just to kind of stay awake and focus. But that had the reverse side effect. I started nodding off, and I was like, "Okay, just stay up straight. Like I'm already up. Like I may as well just watch this."
I did take your advice, Matt. I at the time we were texting, and I'm like, "Dude, this is good race, but like I am struggling." You're like, "Dude, I just sat up," and I'm like, "Oh, good idea." And I went from laying down to sitting up.
Yep.
And I'll tell you what, it helped tremendously. I was able to finish the race.
Yep. Just sit up and just gut it out. Yeah. It was a good race. It was about as good as the Cup race. Yeah. I said last night, and we'll see how long into the season until life catches up to you and Saturdays get busy again, but I said last night to you guys, and I'll say it here, I'm going to try my hardest to devote more attention to the Xfinity series. It's easy right now when we're stuck in our houses, we're on the ass end of winter here, but once it starts getting nice out, like I talked about before, it's going to be tough to keep that promise, especially when, got a happy wife, happy life, right? She already knows Sunday afternoons are carved out, so I've got to give her those Saturday afternoons back sometimes. But I'll do my best this year to watch more Xfinity racing, especially because my boy Josh Berry, I feel strong about him. I want to watch him race more.
Yeah, unfortunately, Josh Berry did not win yesterday in Auto Club. That was Hunter Nemechek. He led 6 times for 49 laps. I figured we should tell everyone who the winner was. But what I saw of it, I thought was a really good race. What did you guys think?
It was good. It was a good race.
I'm going up there where I think, as a whole, it was racier than the Cup race for sure.
Yeah. And I think I saw the fastest lap was run by Cole Custer, and it was like a second quicker than the Cup cars too. So they were a little bit quicker out on track.
Well, the bottom too. The bottom was working for the Xfinity cars, and with the Cup, the bottom just was not working at all. Yeah.
Yeah. And what did you guys think? I thought Cole Custer ran pretty well until he had an issue. He had a tire go down.
He had a right front tire go down on him after pit stop, which was unfortunate because he was probably going to end up running away with that race. But just like everybody else, he got caught back up in the pack and some dirty air, and his car did not handle like it did when he was in front with clean air. So I can't say it was a guarantee he was going to walk off, but dirty air at California was a menace, both Xfinity and Cup.
We would be doing ourselves and the listeners an injustice if we did not talk about the Sheldon Creed save.
Oh, amazing.
Oh my God, dude.
That might've been the last thing I saw before I fell asleep, was that save. If you didn't see it, you have to go check it out on Twitter. There's tons and tons of clips of it.
He was heading directly for the inside wall on the backstretch.
Yeah.
On the backstretch. And, he cut that wheel and his back end turned around, and when I say like it barely grazed the wall, and it turned a disaster into a hell of a save.
Yeah,
We have a video of him and I think it was Bobby Labonte
doing the same thing.
Side by side, same exact thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, it was almost dead on.
Yep.
The save that they had, which I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Still not the best save I've ever seen.
No, Pocono. Corey Heim.
I just retweeted. It was NASCAR Man RR on Twitter posted that Bobby Labonte in 2010 and Sheldon Creed at 2023 saves. But I just retweeted that on Bump the Letter N Run Pod. Make sure you give us a follow on Twitter for all of the updates and whatnot. And just a really good race. I wish I saw the end. But unfortunately, that cup race, it took a lot out of me. I was drinking a lot of beers. And of course, like I said, Kyle Busch led 3 times for 27 laps. We had 28 lead changes among 13 different drivers, 8 cautions for 38 laps. Your top 5, of course, Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, Ross Chastain, Daniel Suarez, and Kevin Harvick rounding out the top 5. Fellas, let's get into the race grades.
It's our NASCAR weekend race grade.
All right, let's start with Matt this week. Matt, what's your race grade for the final race at Auto Club Speedway, the 2-mile version, at least as far as we know?
Dude, I gave it a solid A. It wasn't the best race I've ever seen. I feel like last year I was really lenient with giving out A+, so I'm gonna really reserve those for like the best of the best. But yesterday was a really good race. It deserves to be in that A bracket. I enjoyed everything I saw. We had passing, we had green flag lead passes, we had fun pit stops. We had a lot of action yesterday. That wasn't like disastrous action, right? We had some natural cautions, and it was just a good flow of the race too. I really liked what I saw. We had, the leader did run away with it, but there was a little bit of drama. Could Chase catch him? Probably not, but is there going to be a caution?
Yeah.
I think we had some really good storylines start to develop as well throughout this race that we're going to see, further get bigger and bigger, those storylines as we get into the season. So yeah, I really liked it. I've really come to appreciate Auto Club over the past few years. I know we got away from it for a couple years during the pandemic, but even pre-pandemic, I noticed that that track puts on a really good show. I like that they do the 5 wide before the race even starts. I think that's
really cool
thing they do. A tip of the hat to the fans. I liked it.
Yeah, I thought. I mean, I'll get into my race grade too. I thought it was great. But how about you, Eric? What did you think?
My race grade, I'm kind of following Matt into this where I looked last year at this race and kind of what I wrote down in my notes from it, and I have to dial it back. I gave this race a B+. It had almost everything that last year had as far as notes wise. Like there was multiple grooves, it was racy. But the difference from last year to this year, I think, is there were battles, but they weren't long battles. It was, he gets them, he passes them, and that's it. There was no extended back and forth battles. Like last year, you had the 9 and the 8 battling. You had the 43 battling with the 8. There was multiple long battles over multiple laps. And I didn't see that on Sunday in the Cup. And after watching the Xfinity race, I realized that, okay, Sunday was a B+ race for the Cup. And I think the Xfinity race was almost a little bit more exciting to watch than the Cup race was. I just noticed the drivers in Xfinity were Justin Allgaier. Some of the moves, he was putting himself 3 wide in the middle. Austin Hill 3 wide in the middle, shoving himself in there, racing back and forth. Like, there were sustained battles in the Xfinity race, and I just didn't see that in Cup. And I think that is where I had to bring it down a notch. It's just that top came in. And that's kind of where everyone needed to be. And if you weren't on the top, the bottom, you got washed up. You lost 4 or 5 spots on a restart. And yes, does it look cool on a restart when they all fan out and they're all running different lines? Yes. But after that first lap, what are they doing? They're all trying to get in line on the top so they can keep momentum into the turns and get those runs. And even if you went down low to the bottom, last year I felt like there was more slide job opportunities where you were able to make those passes on the bottom. This year, not so much. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I'm giving this race a B+, and it wasn't what last year was. The cars haven't changed different from last year to this year, but what did?
Driver's experience.
And the track conditions,
Track
temperature,
conditions. Oh,
weather.
Yeah, it was super cold.
I think that really affected these cars and them not performing and being able to do what they did last year. So yeah, I gave it a B+, because I thought that the racing lacked a little bit. Was it exciting and entertaining? Oh, of course it was. But like Matt said, I think now we know what this car is doing. We know the excitement level where they could be. I know the A+ races that I know were A+ or A's last year. I have to dial it back and give this race a B+ because it didn't match last year's race.
You want to, Eric? You make a very good argument. You're starting to make me rethink this whole entire race again. I gave it an A though. That's
what we do though. That's
it. Bouncing ideas off of each other.
I think it was an A. It was super entertaining. I think the ending was really great. I mean, it was kind of bittersweet seeing that 8-car win with a different driver. Where I was excited, I wanted him to win, and then as soon as it happened, I was like, "Man, that's."
And this is just where I wanted to hear, and what I was saying about the texting in the group. Like after the race, we kind of didn't get into I wanted to see what. Oh man, Whitey, that was Randall Burnett had that car for Tyler, and it's I wanted to know your emotion in the moment, and if you did struggle with that, I know it's still really, really fresh for you, white man. I know it is, and it's just I was really, really curious to see if you were gonna just bottle it up and shove it down deep and never let it come up, or did you let a little of that come out on Sunday?
I let a little bit come out. I went up to see my girlfriend. I told her who won the race. I'm like, man, I don't know how I feel about it. You know what it was? So if you listen to Dale Jr. podcast or any drivers really talk, they always say something really interesting where it's it kills me seeing someone else in my car. You never want to see another driver in your car, especially you don't want to see them outperform you in that car and stuff. And that's the driver themselves. And now I'm like, oh, I kind of get that because I thought I was all right seeing KB in that 8-car. I was going to keep on cheering on that 8-car. And now I'm like, oh man, this move for Tyler Reddick to Toyota so far has been I don't know, man. It's kind of like gas station sushi. You're hungry, you want it, you see it out in there, it looks good, and then you eat it, and then an hour later you're sick to your stomach because something's just not sitting right. And
not even an hour later, a half hour later.
Yeah, and then you're looking at Tyler Reddick sitting last in points right now, legitimately last. He has 4 points. Obviously, because of the big one at Daytona and the big one yesterday. But yeah, it just kind of sucks knowing that could have been Reddick's car yesterday. Would it be the same result? Obviously not. It's going to be a different race, different driver and all that. And I'm not saying Toyotas are bad. I'm just saying man, what could have been? What could have been? I mean, Randall puts together a great car for Fontana, I guess, But other than that, I thought it was fucking awesome. I thought it was a great race. I spent the whole entire day on the edge of my seat, watching all the different things, watching our 3 drivers move up through from the back of the pack because there was no qualifying in practice. I did miss practicing qualifying this week, though. I really wish we could have had that. But other than that, I thought it was a great race. I'm happy for KB and on to Vegas, man.
Yeah,
sorry, Matt. It seemed to me like it was just who had a long run car, who had a short run car, and what was the caution going to come out, and who was going to benefit. You know, that it was honestly that. It was some guys run a long run, some guys run a short one, and you had to hope that the cautions fell in your favor for your strategy to work out. Because I know EJ, like you said, you know, I did watch that too. All of our drivers went from the back and they worked together. They were going through. And it just so happened that Reddick and EJ stopped around 18th, 17th, and Chase kept going.
Yeah.
And, you know, it just seemed like right at that moment, I'm like, okay, like we all got through, but then the two of us kind of faltered and just kind of hung around in the middle. And I just think Chase had a really good long run car over those. And EJ and Reddick might have had shorter run cars because EJ and Reddick, they were good on restarts. They held their own for the first couple laps, and then they just fell like bricks.
Yeah.
Dude, that was as a Chase fan, that was a classic Chase Elliott race yesterday where he ate his way through the field slowly but consistently and methodically. He'd get up to a certain point and then he'd stumble back, he'd fade back a little bit, and then he would get that second momentum, like you said, that long run speed where he would start coming up again. And it was slow, it was quiet, and then before you know it, here he is in second, chasing down Kyle for the win. And it just seems like that's Chase's style. You know, he's just a slow, methodical guy. He's going to be there at the end, and that was him. It was just a little too late, and also Kyle just had that car. Everyone knew going into that race. Everyone saw what Randall did last year, and not to take anything away from Tyler, but what Randall and Tyler did last year in that 8 car at Auto Club before the tire problems. You know, they had a rocket ship last year. Now you throw Kyle into the mix, a
proven veteran,
Kyle, a motivated Kyle, and a lot of people that I heard on the fantasy doing a little bit of running around yesterday, listening to Sirius XM. A lot of people were talking about watch out for Kyle Busch, watch out for Kyle Busch. And now we know why. He had a freaking car yesterday. And you know what, too? Like last year, it seemed like he kept getting bit by stuff, right? Like he had that bad luck. Well, once you shake that bad luck in NASCAR, you seem to really shake it. And he finally shook it. Nothing bad happened. A caution didn't come out. He didn't blow a tire.
I was waiting for that caution, man. I was waiting for the caution to come out.
Well, it did come out in the Xfinity race, and Austin Dillon, that was his strategy. He was in the 10 car and he was out, and he was nowhere near going to be able to win the race or whatever. He's running out. He stayed out. And like the booth was talking. They're like, this is a good strategy. Austin, he knows his race is shot unless he gets a caution.
Yeah.
Right after he said it, there it is, caution. He took the lead, comes down pit road, and he led a bunch of laps at the end there. And like, that was what, you know, I think everybody in the Cup Series that, you know, obviously wasn't a Kyle Busch fan wanted to see happen during the Cup race.
I think Michael McDowell had something like that happen too, where they were messing around with pit strategy and stuff and fuel strategy, and it ended up working out pretty well for him.
He would have shuffled out. They said he was running 18th or something, and then he went up, stayed out, got the, you know, he didn't get the caution, but even pitting with everybody, he came out in like 10th or 11th. And they said, like, if he didn't stay out, there's no way he would have gained those positions. So it was kind of a low key strategy race mixed in there, but only a few teams I felt like took those swings.
That was what I was going to say. I feel like the race had a little bit of everything though. You know, you had those guys on long run cars. You had those guys on short run cars. You had a little bit of weird fuel strategy going on and stuff. It was definitely a pretty interesting race. I think that fuel strategy too kind of bit Joey Logano in the leg because he was the first driver to come in. I forget where Logano finished. I think it was within the top 10, but like he was leading at the time and he just kind of suffered after that. So yeah, I think there was a lot of interesting layers.
Rubbed out, didn't he?
I'm not sure.
I think
Logano finished in 10th.
Yeah, remember he was complaining about a possible.
He thought it was a loose tire, but like at that point you wouldn't have a loose tire. He did have something was rubbing. So yeah, you're right there, Eric.
Speaking of Logano, I have to admit something.
What's that? Good broadcaster.
Not that bad in the booth.
Good broadcaster,
especially when he's with another racer like Blaney.
Yeah.
He brings more energy than other full timers. Let's just say that.
Oh man, I hate to give Logano credit for anything, but I really do enjoy when he's on Sirius XM during the behind the wheel segment, because you get off track Joey Logano where like the personality does come out where like you could tell off track he's a decent guy, you know?
I'm going to stop you right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop you right now. And I'm going to say that I cannot stand Joey Logano in the fucking booth because, one, he's like, oh, quirky, oh, little joke, tries to be all Mr. Funny. I'm Joey Logano, look at that, tell these little jokes. Like, shut the fuck up. Just tell me what's going on at the racetrack, please. I can't stand his little fucking whiny voice. Tries to play friends with Blaney. Oh, Blaney, how about that? Sorry for bringing that up, Blaney. I know you finished second. Oh, sorry. Like that guy. Fuck you, Joey Logano. You suck. I can't stand you. Get him out of the fucking booth. He's trash.
That is why I said what I said, because I wanted to see Eric get fired up.
I can't stand him in the booth. I really can't. I think he's bad. I think he tries too much. And the number one thing is, to get to see the off-track Blaney. Well, guess what? Off-track, Logano is a two-faced, lying, dirty scumbag. It's
true, though.
He's showing how good of an actor he is. He's showing himself in the booth. Oh, I can act like Mr. Nice Guy, but I'm really a fucking dickbag. So you know what? Screw him in the booth.
All right, fuck Joey Logano. You guys want to move on to checkers and wreckers? I feel like this is a good spot.
3 wide for the lead. 1 lap to go.
It's this week's checkers and wreckers.
All right, guys, this week I figure we'll do something a little bit different. Let's start with the wreckers, get the negativity out of the way, and then we'll go with the checkers, because I feel like, I don't know, man. I heard that on the morning drive today. Someone led with their with the wreckers, and then, their black flag, and then one with their checkered flag. It sounded like a good idea to me. So we started with Matt for the race grades. Let's start with Eric. What is your wreckers and checkers?
My wreckers, I got to wreck Toyota. I know we were kind of bashing them earlier in the podcast too, but it's rightfully so. Just not a good start to the season. The 500 was not a good race for Toyota. C-Bell came in third, yes, but everyone else just had a rough day. 23-11 rough day when we thought that they were going to be the ones up front dominating like, they usually do, the 23 and the 11. The only top 10 yesterday was Denny Hamlin for the Toyotas, and you have to go all the way down. Martin Truex Jr. was in 11th, and then Ty Gibbs 16th. It's just they have not started out well at all in these first 2 races. I know it's only the first 2 races, but if there's a glaring issue, I think that Toyota and the way that they're performing right now is one of the issues that is going on. And not much to wreck from the race either. Like we all said, it was a good race, and there really wasn't much to wreck besides the performances over the duration of these 2 weeks. I thought Toyota could have stepped up and made some leaps and bounds after their bad Daytona 500. Tyler Reddick at this racetrack supposed to be one of the top contenders. And I thought maybe he would have, shared a little bit of his information with his team and everyone over there. And maybe, they could have got something going, and it just never really did. And I just had to wreck Toyota. They're off to a not a good start.
Yeah, it wasn't a good start at all. But yeah, I'm glad you brought up Ty Gibbs. I noticed him like midway through, probably before that big caution happened. And I was like, man, he's running solid in like the top 15 or so. Might even been like around the top 10. Matt, can you look up like the loop data for Ty Gibbs?
I'm already on it.
See if I'm crazy.
The reason why I'm already on it is because I will be 100% honest with you. I didn't think in Daytona or Auto Club, I didn't give 1 second of thought to Ty Gibbs. And not because of any personal feelings I have towards him. I just didn't think about Ty Gibbs at all. He just wasn't.
Yeah.
irrelevant, I
Just
guess you could say.
not on your
And
radar yet, you know?
at all. Like, I just wasn't thinking about looking for Ty Gibbs at all for whatever reason. So yeah, I will get you that loop data in just a moment here.
Yeah, the only reason why I brought it up because he has the monster car, and I kept looking on TV for the monster car, and he was always a couple spots ahead of Tyler Reddick. I'm like, man, Ty Gibbs he's running pretty decent. He was taking a little bit of risks and stuff.
He has very, very mundane numbers. I mean, he has his average position was 18th.
Okay.
The highest he got at any certain point was 7th. I'm sure that was during pit strategies. He finished 16th. The mid race, he was 21st. He had one fastest lap logged, which and then his driver rating was a 62.3, which is dog shit for a JGR car. So no, he really didn't have anything to write home about yesterday.
Then I guess I exposed how bad Tyler Reddick was running before he got into that accident. Then, so thank you for that, squashing that stuff. I thought Bubba was doing pretty well. He was running in the top 10 for most of the day. Again, overheating issues. I'll talk about that in a little bit too, though. How about your checkers? What's your checkers for the weekend?
My checkers goes to RCR / Kyle Busch.
Yeah.
I just think, that matchup is just going to be something special for this year, and I think for the future moving forward. I don't know if it was just like we said, those little bugs that Kyle had last year and just not knowing, and that weighs on somebody. And your second race, you rip off a win. He should have won the Daytona 500 if it was 1980.
Yeah.
So, you're starting off.
He had a strong car at the Clash too.
Yeah. So you're starting off super, super hot. And, even in the Xfinity race, Austin Dillon finished 8th. In the Cup, he finished 10th.
Yeah.
Kyle Busch has a win. So RCR as a whole, Xfinity and in Cup, I just think they have something going good into the future, and I think they won out as of now in this whole Kyle Busch and Joe Gibbs thing. And I had written down here too that I didn't, when I wrecked Toyota, I put maybe the KB deal had something to do with that, and how that just shook everything up, and it just that just caused a whole ripple in it, and Toyota got left behind. And Kyle took that positive energy once he left over to RCR. So, I had to wreck Toyota and give my checkers to RCR.
So, and think about where we're going next week too.
Vegas. Home track.
Yeah.
Matt, did you get a chance to listen to the entire Denny Hamlin podcast today?
I still have about 20 minutes. I jumped over to another podcast.
All right. So I listened to the whole thing today, and apparently, Kyle Busch was asking for so much money from Joe Gibbs.
Yeah. Oh, I did hear that.
Outrageous. Yeah. And Denny Hamlin goes, there's no way he got that at RCR. He definitely took a pay cut going to RCR. So I wonder if him playing hardball kind of humbled him a little bit too, where he's like, shit, now I got to make something happen. You know,
said something like the money that he was asking for would have put them out of business
without the Mars sponsorship. Yeah.
Yeah. He said it was an outlandish amount of money. And so, maybe he was humbled a bit I remember him making a remark last year in an interview or something before everything was finalized. I remember him saying something like, me and my family are really going to have to make an adjustment on the way we live because of the money that's not coming in or whatever. And I just remember thinking like, well, dude, that's, you're still making millions of dollars, but
yeah, that's still outrageous though. You think like, oh man, I have to adjust my lifestyle because I'm only making a couple $1 million opposed to like $10 million.
Right,
that's insanity to me.
Right.
I would have to say though, take everything that Denny Hamlin says with a grain of salt when it comes to this situation.
Well, because
he's trying to save face for Joe Gibbs Racing. He doesn't, well, we just talked about it earlier. Where's the feeder system coming from? Where's these drivers? Where are they get these young, this young talent from? And guess what? If you hear, I went through with my football team. We had a shitty front office that didn't re-sign our players, didn't re-sign anybody, bring anybody in. And guess what? That put a sour taste in everybody's mouth. And it was just like, okay, why do I want to go to an organization that isn't going to pay me after I put in my time, my effort, my work, and I put it all out there? So Denny might be trying to save some face and being like, hey, yeah, Kyle, it was all Kyle Busch. Yeah, we'll still pay you. We have money. We'll pay you over here. It was just Kyle was asking way too much. That's where I kind of get Denny trying to save face for himself. He's a Gibbs driver. I know he's an owner too. But who knows how good their relationship is too, him and Denny. I just think it might be some smoke and mirrors to keep that face alive at JGR.
Yeah, that makes sense. You make a really good point about, like, playing a little bit of PR there on the Gibbs side. Right. Speaking of sponsorship though, I saw, I guess 2311, like they're completely sold out of sponsorships. They're doing just fine over there at Denny's race shop. So that's always encouraging too for young talent. How about you, Matt? What's your records for the weekend?
So, like Eric said, it was hard finding a records this week because it was a good, clean, quiet week at the track, which is good. It's just like me at my home life this weekend. It's good to have a quiet weekend every once in a while. So I just had to give it to the fact that we're not going to Auto Club anymore, man. Yeah. It stinks because, like I said before, it started really performing. It started really putting on some of the best racing we get to see all year. Yet we still have tracks like, I don't know, Richmond, and I don't know, Phoenix, and I don't know, Texas. So all those, it just stinks. I mean, I can keep going with a couple other tracks, but it just stinks that those clunkers are left on our schedule. But a track that performs as well as Auto Club is gone now. That one hurts.
And those tracks you all named, up until last year, all of them had 2 dates per year. The one track I wish had 2 dates per year. Well, actually there's 2, Homestead and Auto Club right now. Like, man, are we missing out? I know it's impossible, but man, I wish we could be going back.
I wonder if you look at those 3 tracks that Matt just said, and I know he says it could get wonky, but I saw the poll, Gluck's poll, and it was 92% said it was a good race. Look at Auto Club's results from the last couple years and put those numbers up against any racetrack that you just said, Matt. And I think NASCAR should look at that and be like, hey, look at the fans liked this, and this. Listen to the fans, NASCAR. Listen to us. Listen to what we're telling you. It's insane that you don't listen to us. And you keep going back to shit fucking racetracks. And crushing and burying and demolishing good racetracks. What are you doing?
The problem is, for years we've been screaming we want more short tracks, and now they took away the 2-miler to create a short track, and everyone's up in arms and mad about it now too.
But there's a reason for that. It's not up in arms because it's short track versus 2-mile or 1.5 mile for cookie cutter.
Take away a bad track.
No, it's the car. It's the
car sucks on.
So if they didn't go to this next gen, if we stay Gen 6, guess what? Yes, the 1.5 miles, 2 miles are trash. Give us more short tracks. Give us more super speedways. The road courses were good. This new car, it just went completely ass backwards on all that.
Changed the game.
So okay, but since that happened, NASCAR's still going with the old plan. You have to change the plan now. Yeah. This new car is not going to do what we thought beforehand. And as fans and as people who love this sport, we have to realize that, guess what? We have to change our minds about it too. Well, more short tracks might not be a good thing right now. So I'm going to admit it. I love short tracks, but I think we have to forget that because we have to let the car catch up to the racetracks.
So thankfully, I listened to the entire Denny Hamlin podcast, and he was talking about the short track problem. And really, the only way to fix it is to get rid of some downforce on these cars. And one way that they thought to do it is they're looking into kind of like treaded tires, essentially, where like the tires have cutouts, and it takes some of that contact patch off the tire and creates a little bit more slipping and sliding, makes them a little harder to drive. So I don't know where NASCAR is and Goodyear is with testing those types of things. It sounds like it's in the development stage at this point, but at least there's some hope that they are actively trying to figure out how to fix the short track and the road course and just fix the handling of these cars to make it a little bit more difficult for the drivers to drive. So maybe it's see a little bit more slipping and sliding. So there's that to think about. Keep it in the back of the head and pray for the best. How about your checkers, Matt? What's your checkers for the weekend?
So I wanted to call an audible. I know I told you guys before the show what my checkers was going to be, and I'll give my original checkers off to the side. It was going to be Alex Bowman. I was dead wrong about him at the beginning of the season, and all he's done was prove me completely wrong at Daytona and then again at Auto Club. Started 8th, finished 8th. He ran a really solid race yesterday, quiet, clean. He was always up there, and just ran a really, really good, consistent race, and that's all you can ask for. So he's going to win races this year. I think he's going to win multiple races, and again, I couldn't be more wrong, and I'm thrilled about that. That's not my checkers, though.
Okay.
My checkers goes to, we usually give this person our wreckers. I am giving her my checkers. Mother Nature, thank you. Yeah. Saturday, it was like, I think they said like Thursday, Friday, Saturday in that area was just trash.
Yep.
And I know today and the rest of this week is trash. But yesterday, Sunday, you gave us an opening. NASCAR took it. Thank you. Thank God that worked out. I appreciate it, and I'm very, very happy that happened, because there's nothing much worse than a Monday race, especially when you have to sit at work.
And the way the weather is looking, it was going to be like a Thursday race.
Yeah, we were going to be held captive again, like Texas back in 2019 or 2020, whatever year that was.
Yeah, when you start mentioning that Texas race.
Kyle Busch won that Texas race.
You know it's not good.
Yeah.
So I do have to agree with that. But you know what? I'm not even going to say it. I'm going to keep the positivity rolling with the Mother Nature thing.
All right. Well, my records 23-11. Bad luck and DNFs continue. Of course, Reddick was part of that stack up on the restart, and then Bubba was having a really good day, but because Fontana is the dirtiest track on the circuit, there's just garbage.
It's so dirty.
It's so dirty.
That was going to be my wreckers. Just how filthy. that track is.
And
it was comical how dirty that track was.
I've been saying it to you guys for years now. I feel like it was 2020 before we even started the podcast. I was texting you guys like, man, Auto Club's the nastiest track. It's just hot dog wrappers everywhere. But
dude, this was like full size. This is like full size tarps flying across
like
that
plastic bags and shit. And I hate to say it, like it destroyed Bubba's day, because like so much trash got into the inlets of his car, it blew his motor. His motor overheated. So
did you see the sand blasting that happened? Like the front of that car?
Insane.
Yeah. Like see the webbing of like the fiberglass or whatever it was,
just tearing
that,
apart,
wore all the way down.
A lot of guys' splitters were absolutely destroyed after that race just because of all the sand. And you'd think they would be able to, like, I don't know, like, you know how they have the sweeper trucks? Did they still have a sweeper truck? Like, send a sweeper truck out there, suck some of that stuff up, you know? But
put it this way. During the Xfinity race,
there
was still a godly amount of trash on the racetrack. And like at night, with the lights on, you just saw, it looked like there was just little shimmers the whole race. It was just the metallic, it was just all the little reflection from the lights were hitting all the little plastic things. I was like, is there something wrong with my at one point I thought something was wrong with my TV. Like it was like a cartoon where someone bonked me on the head with a hammer and I just saw stars everywhere.
I think.
Can I just say something, speaking of the trash too? Something that just stood out to me as bizarre. Like, why would they say that? During the Cup race, Brad Keselowski got debris on the front of his grill. He drove up like, all right, we aren't drivers. I'm going to ask you guys real quick, pop quiz. What would you do if you were racing and trash got stuck on your grill? What's the first thing you do?
Well, you got to drive as close to the back of the car to create a vacuum and suck it off.
Turbulence, sends it flying.
When Brad did, and that's what Brad did. When Brad did that yesterday, go back and watch. Clint Boyer in the booth was like, wow, that's a veteran move right now. That is a veteran move right there. I'm thinking to myself, like, Steph knows that.
Yeah.
That's what you do when you have debris on. Like, what do you, a veteran move? And I know it's
Sammy Smith in the 18 car in the Xfinity series yesterday did that 3 times from the lead. A rookie went from the lead to his teammate behind him, said, let me clear this off, got back in the lead, and did that 2 more times.
I just thought it was bizarre that they praised him. Like, that's a true veteran right there. I'm like, what are you talking about?
I went on a rant last week when we weren't recording. Clint Boyer needs to fucking go. The Clint Boyer experiment was fun for about 10 races. I'm over it.
I agree.
Either you got
love Clint.
I love Clint too,
but like I can't disagree with what you guys are saying.
He's
just like, I don't know.
He's not a good broadcaster. He's a
when
fun
the energy
interview.
Is needed, when the energy is needed, it's not there. And then when the energy is not needed, it's there.
It's there,
It's like,
once again, Whitey, I don't know if you tweeted it from our page or not, but there was a side-by-side of AJ Allmendinger's spin out versus Sheldon Creed's spin out. Now you have AJ Allmendinger was in the Cup. You have Sheldon Creed who was in the Xfinity. And guess which one sounded a hell of a lot better? The Xfinity booth. And it's like, you can't have that. You just can't have that.
No, it's like, come on, man, you're a professional. I'll retweet that one now too to the Bumper Run podcast account. That was by Randy Ridgway. He put that one together. But it was rough. And where was I? My checkers. Oh, first though, I think we need to give Auto Club the proper send out for all of that trash. Auto Club, before they tear you down, you gotta get it together. All right, and Clint Boyer, you also need to get it together. Get the fuck out of here.
He doesn't need to get it together. He just needs to go on get.
All right, my checkers goes to Ross Chastain. He won both stages, never did that in his career before. Led a race high of 91 laps, just had a super solid race car all day. He just faded on that long run in the last stage. Like we talked about earlier, some guys had long run cars, some guys had short run cars. He said he had a short run car, and when it got to that longer run in the third stage, it just got too loose for him, a little uncontrollable.
Can we talk about that hit that freaking C. Bell took? Oh my God. During that pile up, he just
smashed into the back.
Yeah.
And you want to know what? Records to Joey Logano for that restart. We'll get into it during the pick a lane segment. But yeah, that was a rough one. I was reading though, someone was talking about, I think it was Kyle Busch's wreck in the duels. His head kind of went forward like that too. Yeah, and a lot of people said you need the head to move. You just don't want it to whip forward and hit things. So I don't know if C. Bell's noggin got rocked or not in that one. It might have looked more vicious than it actually was. I would love to hear an interview with him though afterwards to see if he got his bell rung during that one. But back to my checkers though. I wasn't sure how Trackhouse was going to perform right off the bat. You know, they had such great success last year, almost won a championship last year. And sometimes when you're on top, the only place to go is back down. And I was a little nervous to play Ross Chastain in fantasy yesterday. I wish I wasn't. I wish I did play him. I'm kicking myself in the head in that one because both Trackhouse Racing guys did really well, finishing inside the top 5. And I thought a really great race for Daniel Suarez. So checkers to both those guys. But that's all I have for my checkers and wreckers. Let's go through some race notes though. Logano, I thought he had a really great day. He led 6 times for 19 laps. But he had that tire rub later on in the race. But I thought he could have been a contender for a while. Blaney, I thought had a really good car until that stack up that took, it destroyed most of his car. He kept on going, but still, he at the start of lap 87, he led twice for 16 laps. After that, he just can't rebound. Harvick, I thought, had a pretty fast car. He only led 5 laps, but he was consistently in the top 5 all day for him. What do you guys think about Kevin Harvick and the Fords in general at Auto Club?
Well, I was listening to SiriusXM on Saturday, and they actually had a fantasy or a gambling preview on their show, and I forget the gentleman's name that was on there.
Dale Tanhard. He's yeah.
And
was he on there? He was on Sirius?
Yeah, he's a good Eric. He when you mentioned that in the Snapchat video yesterday, he's like he's pretty well. I follow him on Twitter. He's pretty well known in the NASCAR gambling community.
Yeah, and he kind of mentioned Kevin Harvick, and he's like, listen, he's like, hometown kid, last race for Auto Club. You know, it's his last season. Fords caught wind at the end of the season, and he's just like, hey, like no one's really talking about the Fords and you know how them doing well, and you know he was pretty high on them, and it got me thinking. I didn't play him in my fantasy, but it at least kept my eye on that Ford car, and obviously Logano ran well and Blaney. So for the Fords, obviously they're behind Chevy as well. They kind of had a good day themselves.
Nope, looks like we lost our fearless leader there.
Nah, you didn't lose me. I just I had to blow my nose and I didn't want to do it on camera, so I turned my camera off.
That's very Christian of you.
And well, you know, I want to be courteous of everybody, but yeah, I thought the Fords were pretty good. I thought Harvick was good. Brad Keselowski, he ran in the top 10 a lot, got himself a top 10 at the end of the day. Brad
ran good yesterday, man.
Yeah, I had that in my notes here. Brad and Chris Buescher, both of them. You know, Brad finished 7th and Buescher finished 13th. And
Rick, you were a year.
I mean, he spun out.
You were a year off. You were a year off.
Yeah.
And
day late and $1 short.
That's how it usually happens. And and my last race note, Bowman had a great run. He led twice for 17 laps, and Martin Truex Jr., bad luck, dude. Early on in the race, he had a piece of equipment leave the pit box. I think it was like a loose tire or whatever. That sent him to the back of the pack. Drove himself way up to the front, and then lost a tire off pit road a second time. And this time so he's going to lose some crew members too. What do you guys think about Martin Truex Jr. and just some bad luck there?
Dude, yeah. I thought, you know, Marty's going to have a breakout year because he didn't win last year, but I don't know. It's not starting off the best for him.
I had no idea he was even anywhere on the racetrack. Kind of like how that was with Ty.
Yeah.
He was just non-existent to me as far as, and even, you know, sometimes it's tough watching it with Fox and how they, you know, show and broadcast these races makes it a lot tougher, and maybe they don't catch everything. But yeah, I didn't really even hear or see MTJ at all on Sunday. And that's a shame because, you know, it's statistically bound to happen when you get to this point in your career that everything starts slowing down, the wins and, you know, the performance and, you know, I just hope we're not seeing the latter years of MTJ here with going winless.
No, I said during our Daytona preview too, I'm nervous that win at the Clash was a nice little boost, but then he was going to go right back into the form we saw him at last season. Hopefully not, though. I feel like he was running strong until pit road issues. So it was the pit road. But yeah, I don't know. I hope MTJ doesn't go out like this.
Where was Slick Willie 2 clocks all day too? Like I felt like in the beginning he had a car and like
yeah,
I think it was someone mentioned like, oh, you know, William Byron, like he's got a car down here in the bottom. That was hooking up pretty good on the restarts, but
I want to say he had a pit road issue too. Maybe a long pit stop kind of put him in the back of the pack.
Like
and then
in the beginning he was there, he was running up front, and then all of a sudden he just became non-existent.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. I don't remember. I do remember him being in like the mid pack for a while, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's all I have for Fontana. You guys have anything else to add?
No, it was it was a nice, enjoyable race, and I'm confident. Let's stay with the positivity. We're going to be the positive podcast this year. Vegas is going to put on a show. I'm excited about Vegas.
Yeah, I'm real excited for Vegas too. I'll tell you who wasn't up front though, and that was AJ Allmendinger here on the Bumper Run podcast. Every podcast loves to talk about the winner, Kyle Busch, on a Monday, but we also like to talk about the person that came in last. And this week, unfortunately, it was the dinger. AJ Allmendinger wrecked out on lap 75, and he would not return. So unfortunate for him. Oh, sorry, to go back. One last thing. Matt, is there any way, can you look up the loop data for Kyle Larson? So I saw a tweet earlier today about Kyle Larson. Apparently, after he got his electrical issues taken care of, he was one of the, if not the fastest car on track. And I'm wondering if the loop data will show that for you at all, or if it
sure will,
or if because he was a couple laps down, like it won't.
No, I heard he was like 3/10 or 4/10 faster at the end of that race than anybody was.
That's what I heard
so
too.
Larson had so how can I say this? They break it down into fastest laps, what car had the fastest lap. So Kyle Busch led the field with 23 of the fastest laps.
Yeah.
But Kyle Larson and Ross Chastain were tied with in second for 22 of the fastest laps. So that totally backs up your point, Whitey. He was a rocket ship after they got that going. It was just too late.
Yeah, unfortunately, he had to go to the garage super early. I feel like it was before the competition caution even. And they got it all fixed. They sent the car back out to make some laps, and apparently they were very fast laps. What could have been for Kyle Larson. Thankfully for him, though, he didn't go get the last place because AJ Allmendinger did. They got back out there. But that's pretty much all I have for the race weekend. Let's jump into the pickle lanes. I give you guys a topic. We kind of alluded to it before. That big one happened because of a restart stack up. Joey Logano was the control car. Do you like or dislike gamesmanship during restarts like that? Matt, you brought it up in our group chat. Do you want to tell them what Denny Hamlin said on the podcast?
Yeah, he just said that the one thing that Joey is known, I guess, throughout the garage for doing when he's controlling the restart is he'll flutter the gas, the accelerator, just to make the engine rev and make
throw it in neutral and rev it up like a teenager on a Friday night at Turkey Hill.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. In their dad's Mustang underneath an overpass or something like that. I don't know.
Under the Cross Valley every time.
Up a scenario. I'm just getting all crazy.
Yeah, imagine your dad has this sweet 2007 white Mustang with red racing stripes and red interior, and every time you're on Wyoming Ave Route 11 and you go under the Cross Valley Expressway, you kind of rev it. Yeah, just like one of those kind of kids.
That completely random hypothetical situation that you just mentioned is exactly what Joey Logano does.
Who also drives a Mustang. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's just weird that worked out that way. It's a totally inside joke that about 3/4 of our listeners are not going to understand what we're talking about. Anyway, yeah, I guess Logano flutters the accelerator there, gets the engine revving. I guess that's what the drivers around them are listening for. When does that engine get going? When does he get going so you can time the restarts with him? And so he just he does that, and then it gets everyone discombobulated, and then he can go. It throws everyone off their restart for just a split second so he can get going. And I guess he's known for doing that, and that's kind of what caused the pile up. So it's gamesmanship. So how do you feel about that? It's within the rules. He's not doing anything illegal. Some call it dirty. Some call it dirty because of what happened yesterday. He does that, and then a pile up happens, wipes out 10 cars or whatever it was yesterday.
A lot of good cars too, like Ryan Blaney.
Cars,
there's great cars that got caught up in that. Christopher Bell.
Yeah, I went back and forth with the way I thought about this throughout the day, but I landed on I'm okay with it. I'm totally okay with it. It's within the rules. He didn't do anything illegal. If he's known for doing that, then the other cars around him need to be ready for that.
Yeah.
I'm totally fine with it. You know, I'm setting my personal feelings of Logano aside, because if it was Chase who did that, if it was Reddick who did that, if it was EJ who did that, if it was somebody we liked who did that, how would I feel about it? And I'm okay with that.
I fucking hate it. But how do you feel, Eric?
I kind of workshopped this, you know, with Matt and you earlier today too, where I'm kind of on the stance where everybody knows certain drivers probably do it more than others. So, you know, if Logano's known to do it, if you're Chastain, you kind of should be aware of that. Do your homework, I guess. And,
right.
You know, another reason why I don't really give a shit is because these drivers already have so many rules and shit against them during a race that how about you put something into their hands? You know, besides just hitting the gas and steering the car and having to shift, what else is there that a driver could do mid-race to help them out? There's plenty of things that the car chief could do. They have all their little tricks and stuff up their sleeve. The crew chief has his little strategy and stuff that they could do during a race to either help their driver out. So the driver inside the car, they're kind of whatever the car chief and the crew chief set up and gave me, that's all that I kind of have inside that car. So I kind of think it's a tool that these drivers can use to their advantage, and they don't have a lot of different things they could do on the racetrack. And hey, they have these restarts. They have the choose cone. So it's like, okay, they're starting to add these little things that drivers might like and be able to do. And thirdly, it's not just the leaders that do it.
Oh yeah.
It's the cars behind them. So second place,
a lot of the guys
or I should say third and fourth and fifth and sixth, the second and third rows, you'll see them let the leaders go, and you're like, why is there such a big gap? Like, did third place, the guy behind the front row, did he spin his tires? No, he didn't. He let that first car go take off. He backed up to the three cars behind him. They get a huge run, and then first is a sitting duck out in front, and they go right around him and leave first place out to dry. So the leader isn't the only one that could play games on a restart. So I kind of like it, and it's an option for the drivers to kind of have an opportunity to mix it up.
Here's why I also don't have a problem with it. Because the wreck that we saw yesterday happens on a restart in the Cup Series. I'm not talking about Xfinity or trucks. 3 times a year, 4 times a year, maybe.
If
you think
that,
about,
like,
let's just say there's 100 restarts throughout the year, probably a lot more than that. And how often are we wrecking right on the restart? Not often.
I would say probably less than one a year.
Doing that or spinning your tires, though. What's the difference between spinning your tires and pulling that move? You could even essentially blame it on that. If I'm Logano, which, you know, guess what? It's right up his alley. He's going to say it anyway. Deny. He can be like, I spun my fucking tires. You know what I mean? So
it's a play action. It's NASCAR's version of a play action fake.
Yep.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're showing your cards. You're letting the field think you're doing one thing when in reality you're going to be doing a completely different thing. It's not breaking any rules. I'm okay with it.
And in all reality, as the lead car, you do that. Guess what? You could actually screw yourself because by mistiming that, someone could smash right into the back of you and take you out. So it's like, it is a gamble within itself.
I hate it. I do. But I understand it. You know, like you guys said, you see it a lot at road courses. It drives me fucking nuts at road courses. You see the second or third row guys just kind of hanging back. That way they could kind of gun it before the leader starts and they get that little extra momentum. I hate that everyone piles into turn one now. But to Eric's point and to Matt's point, if everyone's doing it, you got to do it. You know, you have to do it. You have to figure out what little advantage you could get. And if it's hanging back on the restart, we saw they expanded the restart zone on 25% on each side. So they created a bigger restart zone for you to kind of play those games. It seems like NASCAR wants you to kind of play the games. Gives an advantage to the leader for having the lead. You know, like what's the point of starting off a restart if you don't get to, you know, really control the field? And they are. I just personally, I don't like it. You know, my guy was caught up in it. I deal with it in iRacing all the time. Drives me fucking nuts on iRacing. When guys just go super slow and then they gun it right before the line. But like, again, it's part of it. I don't have to like it though. You know,
I don't like it.
Yeah.
Right. But by all means, I don't like it.
Do I want to see it go away? No, I just
I don't like it, but like you said, I understand it, and I'm okay with it.
Right.
But I still, it's not my cup of tea. You know.
I just wish it wasn't so egregious. Like it was egregious yesterday, and I think that's the problem. You know, you want to toe that line where like, then you're like, oh, did he spin his tires? Did he miss something? You know, like shit like that. But
I'll reconsider my stance on this if more and more drivers cause accidents doing it.
You see an issue, yeah.
And I see an issue with it, but like Matt said, it's very rare that an accident comes out of something like that. So yeah, you just kind of have to say, hey, it's part of the playbook.
Yeah. And it's just one of those things. That's racing, baby. Torn up sheet metal or fiberglass. But let's move on to the next week.
Marty, you gotta come back with me. Where?
The next NASCAR Cup race. It's the weekend preview.
And that NASCAR Cup race is going to be in Vegas Friday night, 9 p.m. We're going truck racing in Vegas for the Victoria's Voice Foundation 200 on FS1. Saturday, Xfinity is on track for the Alsco Uniforms 300 at 4:30 on FS1. Saturday, we have practice and qualifying for the Cup starting at 1:35. And of course, Sunday, 3:30, we have the Pennzoil 400 on Fox. And now we have to move on to the betting segment, which we had an actual big money winner in our rooms.
Here we go. Money talk.
It's the Buck and Ron gambling preview.
What is it going to take you all a week to clean that up?
You have no
I'll tell you
idea
what.
how many times
I'll tell you
I've
what,
shot
boys.
this gun off before.
No, I'll tell you what. This isn't going to be the only time you're using that gun, buddy. I'll tell you that right now. That's going right from the podcast studio right into the bedroom.
Can I tell you? I don't even know. Never mind.
After hours with Mike Walsh.
I'm not gonna tell you that story. I need you to know Bree was questioning why I bought this toy gun. She thought, she's like, oh, what, did you get it on sale or something? Like, what a dumb thing. I'm like, no, I have a rational plan for it. It's for the podcast, and it worked out because if you listen to our betting preview this week, Statman Matt told you Kyle Busch was gonna win, and baby, he fucking won! Woo! That's what I'm talking about. Matt was the big winner with Kyle Busch. He got you 49 points. Eric, you picked Joey Logano to win at Auto Club. He got you 39 points, and I picked my boy Tyler Reddick. He got me a whopping 3 points. Can't even buy a cheeseburger with that kind of stuff.
No, you can.
But
a cheeseburger? You can get a cheeseburger.
I guess so. Anyways, well, you're not winning any money. That's the thing. You're losing it if he's coming in and getting you 3 points. I made a big old mess in here. Anyways, Matt, do you have the numbers we need to make an educated guess and bet on Las Vegas?
DraftKings, it is 20 after 8 on Monday night. DraftKings does not have the NASCAR numbers up yet. I don't know why, but they do not. So I apologize. But what we can try to do is, either Whitey or myself will attempt to make a gambling video a little later on this week, maybe a Saturday on the weekend, something like that. So we will make it up to you. I apologize that we can't get those numbers for you here at the end of the show.
Hold on.
Unless Whitey can find something.
I'm looking on another sports book. Let's
okay.
Let's see if we can find motorsports, NASCAR. God damn it, we only have the Cup Series Championship.
These sports books though know nothing about the sport of NASCAR because some of their odds it just goes off of like who the big names are. And
who the favorite? You know who the favorite is? I bet you the favorite is Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, and Kyle Busch.
Yeah,
I
Blake
bet you those three are the favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bet you Ross Chastain is up there. Denny's up there.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, just go through the top 10 anyways. Okay. Well, Matt, since you get to, you won, you get to pick last. I lost, so I get to pick first. Who am I going to take in Las Vegas? And again, we're only picking guys 3 times. I chose Kyle Busch to win Daytona. I was a week behind on that one. Don't want to burn another one. I'm going to go. He had a pretty good run. He had a shorter run car than he needed. I'm going to go with Ross Chastain. I think Ross Chastain gets himself in victory lane at Las Vegas. How about you, Eric? Who you picking?
Well, he had some issues. Turns out he was probably the fastest car on the racetrack. And I think that irritated him. I think he went out and drove his ass off after that to see what he had in that car. And I'm going to go with the 5 of Kyle Larson.
All right. I think it's a good pick.
We only get 3 picks per driver this year. So I am going to put my money where my mouth is at. I am going to pick the guy who won this race just a year ago, last spring in 2022.
Ooh.
A guy who had 21 fastest laps last year. A guy whose average running position was 7th. I am stealing these numbers directly off of Racing Reference. They are not on the top of my head. I am going with the 48 of Alex Showman the Bowman.
All right, we'll see if he can get it done. I think he can. I think he's already proving our preseason predictions wrong, and I would love to see him in victory lane. We're 2 races into the 2023 season, and we have 2 different winners. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Kyle Busch so far locked themselves into the NASCAR playoffs. We'll see if they could stay in there. We'll see if we have more than 16 winners this week, and we will see if Alex Bowman, Kyle Larson, or who did I? Ross Chastain, or Ross Chastain could get it done in the desert of Las Vegas. Hopefully, Mother Nature doesn't throw us a curveball and it snows in the desert for some reason.
I already checked. We're good to go, brother.
All right, and like Matt said, since we didn't get the gambling segment in, I did buy this money gun for a reason. We will have a gambling video after qualifying and practice. I'll break it all down for you guys. We will get you some bets in. And of course, as always, we will break down the race every Monday right here on the Bump and Run podcast. For Matt the Statman Reilly, for Eric Daytona Ron, I'm Michael D. White saying have a good night.
The Bump and Run